Did you know that there is one book in the entire Bible, 66 books, where God is never mentioned? Not once. Not by name, not by title, not even by pronoun. His name does not appear. His voice is not heard. His hand is not described. And yet, everything in that book happens because of him. The book is Esther. Sit with that for a moment. Now hear this. The blood moon of March 3rd, 2026, a sign that Joel, Jesus, and John, all described as one of the most significant celestial signals in all of prophetic history, falls on the exact night of Purim, the feast of Esther, the feast built entirely around the theology of a God who hides himself. I am not saying that is a coincidence. I am saying that is a theme. Scientists will watch the eclipse on March 3rd and explain it perfectly. They will be right about the physics. What they cannot tell you is what it means to have a blood moon rise on the night the world celebrates a God who disappeared into the story without leaving his name. That is what this video is about. There is one book in the Bible where God never shows up. He never speaks. His name never appears. And yet, every single event in that book depends entirely on him. That book is Esther. And the blood moon of March 3rd, 2026 falls on the night of her feast. Purim is not just a Jewish holiday. It is a theology. It is the theology of a God who works in the dark and then steps into the light. The blood moon is arriving on the night the world celebrates the God who hid himself. And I do not think that is an accident. Let me give you the foundation so you understand what we are standing on. In the Hebrew calendar, Purim falls on the 14th of Adar. In 2026, that evening begins on March 2nd and carries through into March 3rd, the exact night the blood moon rises. Purim commemorates the events of the Book of Esther, the Persian Empire, the Jewish people in exile, a man named Haman who despised them, and a queen who was told, "For such a time as this." But here is what most people do not know about the name Purim itself. It comes from the Hebrew word pur, which means lot, as in casting lots, as in the random decision Haman made about the date of destruction. He did not choose a date out of personal preference. He rolled the dice. He cast the lot, and the lot came up, and he thought he had his day. But then, Proverbs 16:33, the lot is cast into the lap, but its every decision is from the Lord. What Haman thought he was choosing randomly, God had already written. The date that looked like chance was, in fact, covenant. Haman cast lots to destroy the Jewish people. God used those same lots to mark their deliverance. The Feast of Lots is the feast of a God who takes what the enemy throws and turns it into the very mechanism of rescue. And every year on that feast, Jewish communities around the world gather to read the Megillah, the scroll of Esther. When Haman's name is read, the congregation shouts, stamps, and makes noise to blot it out. When Esther or Mordecai is named, there is celebration. The whole reading is a pattern of concealment and revelation, hiding and finding, darkness and light, the name that must be silenced and the name that cannot be stopped. That is the theology of Purim. Concealment, then reversal, hiddenness, then revelation. And on March 3rd, 2026, the blood moon rises on the night the world reads that story. The word Purim comes from pur, lots. Haman cast lots to find the luckiest day to destroy God's people, and God let him do it. And then God turned it. Proverbs 16:33, the lot is cast into the lap, but its every decision is from the Lord. What looks like chance is always covenant. On March 3rd, 2026, the blood moon rises on the night the world reads the story of a God who hid himself, and then revealed himself in the most unexpected way possible. If this is already opening something in your spirit, if you sense that the timing of this blood moon is not random, hit that like button right now and subscribe to this channel. Every person the algorithm sends this video to is one more soul invited into this conversation. Don't keep this to yourself. Share it. I want to show you something that has been hiding inside this story since the beginning. Hidden in plain sight, the way God himself is hidden in the book. There is a Hebrew theological concept called Hester Panim. It means the hiding of the face. God warns Moses in Deuteronomy 31:17-18 that there will come a time when he hides his face from his people, not abandonment, concealment. The difference is enormous. Abandonment means gone. Concealment means present but not visible, present but not announced, still working, still moving, still writing, just not showing his face. Now here is the detail that changes everything. The name Esther, in Hebrew, Esther, is etymologically linked to the Hebrew root str, which means to hide, to conceal. The very name of the book's hero encodes the theology of the book. She is a hidden queen in a foreign court, with a hidden identity, serving a hidden God. She is the human embodiment of Hester Panim, present, working, moving, but not yet revealed. The rabbis noticed this long before modern scholarship arrived. They identified the book of Esther as the text where Hester Panim is most fully dramatized. God does not appear in the story because he is the story. He is not absent. He is operating without announcing himself. He is the author who has stepped into the manuscript without signing his name. Now hold that and look at March 3rd. A blood moon arrives on the night of Hester Panim, on the feast of the hidden God. What does that mean? It means the hiding is ending. It means what has been working beneath the surface is about to break into visibility. The blood moon is not a threat. It is a revelation. It is the hidden face, emerging. The name Esther, in Hebrew, is connected to the root word for hidden. She is literally the embodiment of the theology of her own story, the hidden queen of a hidden God. Hester Panim, the hiding of the face. God warned Moses it would happen, and the entire book of Esther is what it looks like. Providence without announcement, movement without visibility. A blood moon on the night of Hester Panim is not cosmic coincidence. It is the hidden becoming visible. It is the face emerging from the concealment. I need you to feel the weight of this scene. Haman has signed the decree. The date has been set. The edict has gone out across the empire, in 127 provinces, in every language, that on one specific day, the Jewish people will be destroyed. Mordecai tears his clothes and sits in sackcloth and ashes at the city gate. Esther's servants bring her word of what is happening in the streets. Messages pass back and forth through the palace walls. And then Mordecai says it. Esther 4:14, the most theologically loaded sentence in the entire book. Who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Pause and hear what is actually happening here. Mordecai does not say, God told me you were born for this. He cannot. He is living in Hester Panim. He cannot see God directly. He cannot cite a prophecy, cannot point to a burning bush, cannot quote an angel. He can only see the shape of the moment, and the shape of the moment has Esther's name on it, Le'et Kazot. For a time like this, not a general time, not any time, a specific, unique, unrepeatable time, a time with a shape. A time that calls for a specific response from a specific person. This is not a motivational speech. This is a theology. You were placed here by a God who does not appear in this story, precisely for the moment you are now standing in. Now step out of the Persian court and into 2026. The blood moon of March 3rd falls on the night that text is read aloud in synagogues around the world. Every person watching this video is alive in their own Le'et Kazot. Their own for such a time as this. The blood moon does not arrive to terrify. It arrives to locate. It arrives to ask you the question Mordecai asked Esther. What if you were placed exactly here, in this exact moment, for exactly this? You are alive in 2026 for a reason. The blood moon is arriving in your lifetime for a reason. The question Mordecai asked Esther is the question March 3rd is asking you. Let me show you the pattern, because this has happened before. The God of Scripture moves most decisively when he appears most absent. Not occasionally. Consistently. This is the pattern, and it has 3 chapters before we arrive at the 4th. Chapter 1. The Babylonian Exile. 70 years of silence. The temple destroyed, the sacrifices ceased, the prophetic voice quieted. The people of God sat by the rivers of Babylon and asked, "Where is he?" And then Cyrus the Great, king of Persia, issues a decree allowing the exiles to return home. A pagan king, no burning bush, no parted sea, no audible voice, just a political decision that fulfilled the words of Isaiah 44:28 to the letter, a prophecy written 150 years before Cyrus was born using his name. God was not absent during those 70 years. He was writing in the silence. Chapter 2. 1492. The year of the Alhambra Decree, when 200,000 Jewish men, women and children were expelled from Spain, carrying Torah scrolls, boarding ships at night, watching a homeland disappear behind them. Blood Moon Tetrad that year, but also, the same year, a sailor named Columbus sails west. A new world opens, refuge appears where there was only ocean. God was not absent in 1492, he was simply not visible. Chapter 3, 1948. The Holocaust should have ended Jewish national identity permanently, 6 million lives. The apparatus of industrial extinction, and then, in the ash of the greatest catastrophe in Jewish history, the State of Israel is reborn. A vote in the United Nations, a declaration of independence, a nation that had not existed in 2,000 years, suddenly existing again. Ezekiel 37, the valley of dry bones, the breath, the standing. Impossible by every political and historical logic. And yet, he had been writing through the catastrophe. Now name the pattern. Every time the face of God appeared most hidden, in exile, in expulsion, in extermination, the next moment was a revelation. The hiddenness preceded the appearing. The silence was the before. And March 3, 2026 arrives in a geopolitical season when many people feel that the face of God has gone quiet again. That is not a sign of his absence. If the pattern holds, and it has held 3 times, that is the shape of the moment before he moves. 70 years of Babylonian silence. And then Cyrus. Isaiah had written his name 150 years before he was born. The hidden God had been writing the whole time. 1492 was not just a blood moon year. It was the year the Jewish people were expelled from Spain, and the year a new world was discovered. Hiddenness and revelation in the same calendar year. Every time the face of God appeared hidden in Jewish history, what followed was the most significant act of divine intervention in that generation. That is not coincidence, that is pattern. Let me bring the witnesses together. Joel 2:31. The sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Joel wrote this in the middle of a national catastrophe, in the ruins of a locust plague, with the priests mourning in the temple. He saw the blood moon as the announcement before the event. The word before, in Hebrew, lifni, means in the face of, in the presence of something greater that is coming. Joel saw the blood moon as a sentence that precedes the main clause. Matthew 24:29. Jesus speaks of the sun being darkened, the moon no longer giving its light, the stars falling from heaven, the powers of heaven being shaken. He is not writing a NASA anomaly report. He is describing the unraveling of the world order as it has been constructed, and the blood moon is one of the visible markers of that unraveling. Revelation 6:12. John sees the 6th seal opened, and the moon turns to blood. The 6th seal, not the first, not the last, the 6th. And immediately after, the sky is rolled back like a scroll. Hidden things become visible. Every concealed thing is laid bare. And now, Esther. Esther is not a traditional prophecy text, but it is a theology text. And the theology it embeds, that God works most powerfully in concealment, and that the concealment always precedes a revelation, is the interpretive key that unlocks Joel, Matthew and John simultaneously. Because the blood moon is not just a sign, it is Hester Panim ending. It is the hidden face emerging. It is the scroll being rolled back, and the author finally writing his name in the sky. 4 voices. 3 describe the sign. 1 explains why the sign looks the way it does. Red, blood-colored, the color of visibility, the color of what was hidden becoming undeniable. Joel described the sign. Jesus placed it in his timeline. John saw it at the 6th seal. And Esther gives you the theology underneath all 3. This is the God who hides himself, stepping into visibility. The 6th seal in Revelation 6 describes the sky being rolled back like a scroll. Hester Panim reversed, the hidden face revealed, the concealment ended. 4 voices, 1 sign, and 1 feast, 2,500 years old. That gives us the name for what that sign means. It means the hiding is over. At some point, a reasonable person has to stop calling this coincidence. And I believe you have passed that point. I want to ask you a direct question. Have you been in a season of Hester Panim? Have you been in a period where God felt absent, not theologically absent, not intellectually absent, but experientially silent? Where you prayed and heard nothing, looked and saw nothing, believed and felt nothing. Where the silence grew so long that you started to wonder, quietly, in the middle of the night, in the kind of wondering you do not say out loud, whether anyone was listening. This section is for that person. Because the theology of Purim is not that God was ever gone. The theology of Purim is that the hiding is always a before. It precedes something. Esther 8:16. For the Jews, there was light and gladness and joy and honor. The reversal was total. The same lots that Haman cast for destruction became the lots that marked liberation. The same date he chose for annihilation became the date of celebration. God turned the date. He turned the lot. He turned the decree. He turned everything Haman had built against the people, and he turned it without ever announcing his name. Romans 8:28. All things work together for good for those who love God, who are called according to his purpose. Not some things, not the obvious things, not the things that feel like blessings. All things, including the silent seasons, including the years in Babylon, including the night of the blood moon. All things. And Luke 21:28. When these things begin to take place, stand up and lift your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. Not fear, not hiding. Heads up. The posture Jesus commands is the posture of someone who has heard a summons and is responding to it. The posture of someone who has lived through the Hester Panim and recognizes the moment the face is emerging. If you have been in a season where God felt hidden, where the silence was so long you started to wonder whether anyone was listening, the theology of Purim was written for you. The hiding is not the ending. The hiding is the before. Esther learned that. The exiles in Babylon learned it, and the generation alive on March 3rd, 2026 may be about to learn it too. Luke 21:28 does not say cower. It does not say fear. It says, stand up, lift your head. Your redemption is drawing near. I want to speak to two people right now. The first, you came to faith at some point in your life. You believed, you prayed, you were in the room, but somewhere along the way, maybe a loss, maybe a disappointment, maybe just the slow, grinding weight of a season that never seemed to end, the fire went out. Not dramatically. You did not leave with a speech. You just drifted, 1 degree at a time. And now you are here, watching a video about a blood moon on the feast of a hidden god, and something in you recognizes the address. I need you to hear this. The God who worked in silence through 70 years of Babylonian exile never stopped working. The God who did not appear by name in the book of Esther never stopped moving. He has been moving in your silent season. Through every closed door, every unanswered prayer, every year that felt like Babylon, he has been writing. And this is the moment the scroll is being read aloud again. The second person, you may have come to this video because the thumbnail caught your eye, because someone shared it, because something in your own life feels like a late kazot, a shaped moment, a time with your name on it, and you could not look away. You have never given your life to Jesus Christ. This is all new. You are not behind. The God who placed Esther in a Persian palace for a specific moment placed you in front of this screen at this specific moment. His name may not appear in every chapter of your story, but he has been writing it. Both of you are standing in front of the same blood moon. Both of you are receiving the same summons, the sign that demands a response. The God of Esther does not ask you to have it all figured out. He asks you to respond. The way Esther responded when Mordecai told her what the moment required. The way the exiles responded when Cyrus opened the gates. The way the bones in Ezekiel's valley responded when the breath came. If you are someone whose fire went cold, someone who used to walk with God but drifted somewhere along the way, I need you to hear this. The God of Esther did not put his name in her story, but he never left it. He never left yours either. And if you have never given your life to Jesus Christ, if this is your first real encounter with this God, welcome to your Le'et Kazot. You're for such a time as this. You are exactly on time. He was always there. He is still there. And on March 3rd, he is writing his name across the sky in red. If you are ready to give your life to Jesus Christ, if you want to step out of the hidden season and into the one who has been there all along, type these words in the comments right now. I accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. Do not just think it, declare it. The God of Esther is the God who turns declarations into destiny. Hit that like button right now so the algorithm carries this message to one more person sitting in a silent season who needs to hear that God has not gone anywhere. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because we are tracing the same God through every ancient text, and we are just getting started. Share this video with someone in your life who has been in a long silence, someone who has been asking where God went. This message was made for them. And leave a comment and tell us, what season are you in right now? The hiddenness or the reveal?